cheers from scrape some crescendo from the bottom of the jar. Cheers. Yummy. So I'm hoping that you've already seen these videos, but we're going to talk about how I shot them, why I shot them, what I was hoping to do, what I actually did, blah, 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 blah. But before we even begin, if you haven't already downloaded these from my Dropbox account and watched them through your surround system, these videos were designed from the ground up for surround sound, and what they ended up mixing down to was 7.1, even though I was set up for 9.1.2. But we'll get to that anyway. So if you haven't already downloaded it and watched it through your surround system, if you have one, I highly recommend that you do that. That is where all 4 of these videos really shine, is in that surround sound. So basically, my dad had offered to pick me up for a day because I sit around the apartment most of the time just doing random things, or working on these projects or different projects and shit. Anyway, so he wanted to get me out of the apartment because he's my dad and he loves me and I love him. Anyway, and asked me, well, what do you want to go out and do? What would you like to go out and do? And I said, well, you know what? Let's go up on the mountain or somewhere and shoot some nature videos that I can record in surround sound. My original idea, what I was filming and hoping to accomplish, was to create these 4-hour roundabout, like nature type relaxation videos, but do it in surround sound. And in 4K. Unfortunately, we ended up having to settle for 7.1 HD, even though I was set up for 9.1.2. If you don't know, 9.1.2 is 3 speakers in the front, 4 speakers on the side, 2 in the back, 2 overhead, and 1 in the subwoofer. That's your 0.1 before your 0.2 overhead. I digress. My dad goes out on his bike like all the time, checking out these random spots and everything. My dad was a Rolling Stone that stopped to look at the pretty flower, and then a few years later or whatever, I was born. Anyway, so he picked out these spots on George Washington National Forest because I said I wanted to find a couple places that were kind of hidden away, secluded a little bit, and I wanted to find a few different things. One of the things I wanted to find that we found was an overlook, and another one I wanted to shoot like on a river, or as we say around these parts, the creek. Or as they say natively to Cub Run, the creek. It's a creek, Bob. It's a creek. And so Dad picked out these spots, and honestly, they couldn't have worked out any more beautifully. So let's go ahead and pull up those pictures from my phone that I had taken of the rig, just to give you an overview of what I was recording with. So what you're seeing right here is my Sony Axe53 Vixia, or whatever it's called, camera. That's our front shot. That's the one that shot the overlook. On top of it was one of our biggest problems of today, is I had just bought that Zoom H1N right before the shoot, and or like a day or something before. I didn't really have time to really put it through any tests, and just took it straight out there, and it was defective. About half of the first 2 videos, the sound out of here was completely unusable. It was nothing but noise and hiss. And this is going to be a problem at those high altitudes anyway, man, but that wind was a bitch on that microphone. None of the other microphones, with the exception of the Axe 53's internal microphone, but we weren't going to use that from the start anyway. But that H1N, I don't know if it was part of it being defective or if that's just the H1N, whatever. It did not handle that wind noise. It probably would have been better with a furry instead of a foam, but I didn't have enough furries to go around. So, I had what I had, and I would later have to come back because I didn't notice all of the wind rumble throughout the video. I didn't realize how bad it was before I had already finished post-production on that video. And so I had to come back and re-edit that wind rumble out of there. So again, I don't know if the lack of wind handling, whatever, was, part of it being defective, or, if that's the H1N and the elements that it uses. I don't know. But I tried putting a high pass filter on it. Yes, I know, how you do that. But the high pass filter helped, but without, drowning it all the way up, it didn't do much good at all. It helped, but it didn't do enough good, is what I'm saying. So I had to go back and re-edit all of that footage and just edit out the parts where the wind rumble came in. And back there is my little Zoom Q2N, and we'll get to that here in a minute because we got a close-up of that. Right here was our second problem on the first shoot. This was a what is it? I think it's an Outtakes Fusion or something, F15. It's a pencil condenser microphone, and we were going to use that as our center channel for the front video. Unfortunately, the Zoom H6, as you're going to see here in a minute, didn't finish recording. For whatever reason, it shut down like halfway through the recording, and we lost everything that it recorded. And it had the microphone I'm going to show you in a minute that we were trying to use for the subwoofer, and the XY mics that I had pointed at the sky didn't get that either. I was going to have some workaround to do in post, and that's part of what took me so long to get to it, because it was overwhelming just knowing how much shit I had to work around. So this is basically just a little cardioid dynamic that from a drum microphone kit that I have. It's a CAD. It's not anything super special, but it gets the job done. And using a kick drum mic for the subwoofer, to me, just made sense. I had never done anything this complex before, but, it made sense to me for the subwoofer channel, and I'm sorry about that. I think I might have triggered somebody to have a seizure with that skip. Shit. And right here, here's the H2N up close, and the H2N we used for the sides. We used the spatial mode on the H2N, and then I set it up sideways to record the sides. That's our, what would that be? I guess channels 6 through 8. No, that would be, I guess, 5 through 9 or something. I don't know. Anyway, that's our sides. But I recorded in spatial mode, which would end up saving the day when we got to post-production in a lot of ways. And here is that H6 that we didn't get anything from. But the H6, I've never had that problem before with the H6, and I've used it a lot. We used to film my channel, the 4 years on YouTube, for the most part exclusively, except for a few that we did with the what's it called, the Q8. But we've used the H6 a lot and never had any problems with it. So that was very, very surprising. So here's the H2N. The H2N there is absolutely nothing bad I could ever say about the H2N. As a matter of fact, after this shoot, when I got back here and I realized, going over the footage, that the H1N was defective, I returned it to B&H. They gave me no problems at all, no questions asked, really. Well, they did ask, if it was defective or I just didn't like it. I said, I think it's defective, but if it's not defective, I damn sure don't like it, because, that's not normal. Anyway, so I sent it back, and in its place, I got another H2N. So now if and when we go and do more stuff like this, now I've got 2 H1Ns, and, again, this isn't the first time I've shot a nature video, but it is the first time I've ever tried to do a nature video on this scale. I did back in, I don't know, somewhere the early 2000s, I did a couple videos that are still up on this channel, but I just used the Canon T3i and the H2N and recorded it like a 5.1. That was before they added the spatial modes. Long before they added the spatial stuff. Long before that. Anyway, and it did really, really good for that. But I don't know whatever happened to the AC3 files that I had for the 5.1 mix of that. And obviously YouTube doesn't do surround, really, it doesn't do discrete audio. So, the ones on here are just going to be regular stereo, and I didn't do any post work really to the footage. I didn't colorize it. I didn't try to clean it up or straighten it out. If you look at the 2 videos, Shenandoah River, on this channel, it is way crooked. Both shots, both videos. I can't really, claim any pride on those looking back, except that the audio sounded really, really good. So yeah, I haven't done anything this complex before. And, it's very much a learning process. And those H2Ns are fucking amazing for the price. They really, really are. And so here is our Q2N. I might have said Q2N earlier talking about the H2N. If I did, I am sorry. But the Q2N, for its price, is awesome. We're back to the H2N now. So we use the the Q2N, for our rear shot and rear microphones, at least for the overlook video. So it's an XY microphone built onto the camera, and I use that for our rear, left, and right. So the camera isn't the greatest in the world, but for I think it was $180 price tag of it, it's fantastic. For real. The audio is really why you buy that camera, and it works for that. It really, really works for that. And I do have more furries now too. So when we go to do another one, I'll probably only use a few microphones. I'll use both of the H2Ns just as in spatial mode, and just instead of pointing them sideways, I'll have one facing frontwards, one facing behind, and then I can, split the difference in the middle since they're in spatial mode, and then use the other sides for, front and all of that. And I can still record with the H6 and overhead and just try to layer it on top, even though mixing in Dolby Atmos is apparently just beyond my scope for now. Also to, just explain that, the front and the rear shot, that's what they are on both of these videos, is I recorded on this one, I recorded the overlook with the Axe 53 and then used the Q2N for the bridge at Storybook Trail. And so this is the setup at Cub Run. And so here we're facing the waterfall, as you can see right there. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same setup. And this time, the H1N was completely unusable for the whole shoot. And we forgot to turn phantom power on the H6. So our pencil condenser, once again, didn't record anything. Nothing at all. But we did record the height channel and the subwoofer channel this time. Of course, the subwoofer channel, it doesn't really do much in a video like this because most of that is really going to come from the music and stuff. I mean, sometimes there's little kerplunks and stuff like that, or whatever you want to call them. But those seem to come through without using an extra mic for the subwoofer. Or maybe it's just that this microphone isn't good enough for it to really make a difference. I don't know. But this was a really tricky shot, and I forgot to mention that at the overlook too. I didn't bring anything to use as a sun hood, unfortunately. And so both shoots, the viewfinder on the cameras were completely washed out, and made it really, really hard to frame the shot. And as a consequence, all but the bridge shot had to be cropped in and rotated to get straight. And that presented a real problem for the waterfall because, this was literally the only place I could set up really near the waterfall without actually setting up in the creek. And once again, I didn't prepare think to bring like sandbags or something for the tripods, as well as like trash bags or something just to, protect the legs in order to shoot in the river or the creek. So, I was really too close to the waterfall. And then to make things worse, I forgot to zoom back out on the Axe 53. So it was already zoomed in a little bit, knowing that I'm too close to the waterfall. It's, one of those learn from your mistakes kind of moments, but learn as I go. Even though I lost a good little bit of sky and, up above the waterfall, I think it turned out pretty good. So, that's me pointed at the waterfall right there. And then, it's all the same equipment over again. And then there's me, Dad, and my stepmom, Diane. How do they do? And that's a fat guy being taken on pictures from Diane's phone. So there's me and Dad. I just go back to that overlook. I had to set that rig up completely on this grate right here. And that I'm extremely acrophobic. And the only thing underneath of that grate is like a rock. So it was not a good feeling standing on that thing, much less like actually setting up the equipment on that thing. But, I'm really glad that I did. Don't get me wrong. It's, I'm worth it. And, that's just the same picture cropped out. And, yeah, these are just the videos that I shot to post to Facebook the day that I shot them. And, that was one from my phone. I didn't put this on the preview videos, so let's hope that this isn't too loud because I'm not wearing the headphones. And just a little preview of this location. Nice! Yeah, so if that was too much louder than my voice right now, then I will come back in post and separate that and level it. You're welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome, little dudes. You are welcome. All right, so let's get back into the folder here. And just to show you, here is the footage from, these are the footage folders of footage from each different device, and these are, all the stuff that I added in post. Now, I did fully intend on, that was one of my ideas from the start, was to put Mom up in the sky on one or all of these videos. And I didn't think at that time that I was going to turn it into this full-fledged tribute. But that's kind of how it developed. I'm really glad that it did. And, I have no bad about it. Mom would have absolutely loved this project. That is long before I came into the picture. I promise you that. Let's turn her around. I did that part in DaVinci. And there's one of the diamonds I reused. I used 4 different pictures of Mom in the 4 different videos, but I reused the same 2 diamonds between videos. And this was my way of cheating for the color grades. Basically, both of these videos is just stock footage that came from Storyblocks. And I inserted this one into the Storybook Trail project and used shot match to clip in the color panel, and that's how I got my color. And then I did the same thing with this one for the Cub Run video. I know for color grading, that's cheating, but I don't care. I really don't. I don't care. Okay, so I am, at this very moment, I am also rendering one of our videos. I think I'm rendering the Overlook video now, the full 4-hour version, because I'm shooting this before I release these videos, and then I'm gonna release these videos before I come back and edit and release this. So it's weird like that, Just call me Kang, baby. I got control of that quantum realms. I digress. I got future forward time variance authority, or whatever you want to call it. So, I can't show you the project right now because DaVinci's, rendering that project. So I'm going to come back here in, 2 shakes of whatever you want to insert, random, witty, cultural, appropriate thing there, We'll be back in 2 shakes of something. Insert here. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait. Because, these renders are taking anywhere between 8 to 12 hours apiece to render. That's the longest part of the videos in this project anyway, is that fucking render time. To be fair, these are 4-hour long videos. So, I just wanted to show you that. I just wanted to show you why I'm waiting. And it's about 4 hours later, and we've still got about 2 hours to go. So let's have another dab. What do you say? Let's have another dab. Three, 2, 1. Cheers! Cheers. Harsh but tasty. So if you ain't schooled up on, recording video and audio from separate sources without the use of time code, syncing those up manually, luckily DaVinci does have a match by sound option, but when you're working, especially with ambient noises or sounds, it's harder for that to pick up. And I tried that with both of these projects and couldn't get a good sync out of it. So, I had to do it manually. But that is why we use the clapboard. Before, you hear you see the big sticks, clap, 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 action, roll, roll tide or, rawhide, whatever they say. But yeah, that's exactly why I did end up having to manually sync all of the tracks. And it worked out pretty well, actually. So basically what I did was I took both locations were one single shoot, and I'll explain here a little bit, what I did to flip that around, so that I could divide it up into two separate videos for each location. Basically, what I explained earlier about you setting the camera downstream versus at the waterfall or at the overview and at the bridge. And so I laid it all down into one single timeline. As soon as this gets finished rendering, I'll actually show you. But the tricky part that I'm gonna have to just straight up show you is figuring out the surround sound, where to direct those channels, and how to eventually render that project into one single file with the 7.1 encoding. I was hoping to do Atmos, but I couldn't figure out the Atmos for now, at least. It's beyond my scope right now, but it does look like I think that I was able to mix in Atmos, just not render in Atmos. I think that what I would end up having to do is export two separate files the way that you used to have to do for 5.1 when you were making like DVDs and Blu-rays, and you would render just your video as one track and then an AC3 file for your discrete multi-channel audio as the second file, and then you would merge those together when you render the DVD or the Blu-ray. But most of us ain't really using DVDs and Blu-rays like we used to. Most of the DVDs and Blu-rays that I got, I backed up onto the computer and ripped onto the computer so that I have them as digital files. It's just so much more convenient to pull it up through Plex or off of Vudu or, YouTube or, whatever. It's just, it was just beyond my scope for now. And so I ended up having to do these as 7.1 instead of 9.1.2. That's really, aside from being for myself and a tribute to my mom, that's really who this is for my home theater people who, want something to just kind of kick back to with good surround sound, trip out on just nature video, an overlook. It's, I know that I'm not the only person that's ever sat in the middle of a river and smoked a blunt down to the neck. It's a beautiful thing. And, the sound from sitting on the river, that's half of my childhood memories out at Poppyland, is literally just the sounds that the river made. And so, to be able to recreate some of that in the home theater space is, that was my original vision for this project, and it still is that very much. So the first timeline I started with was, from the front camera, the Axe 53, and I completed that. I mean, like up to the music and everything and the composites before I moved on to the rear camera. And it was really cool because, I was basically able to just flip the camera positions around. I, again, apologize that I can't show you that right now as I'm talking about it, but, I'm really crunching to get this out on the 28th, like all of it. Hopefully this video too, but, we'll see about that. But, I could take the rear microphones and the front microphones and just flip them in positions in post, like flip which one is the rear speakers and which one is the front speakers. So I could literally just flip the scene to the other shot for the next video by finishing the first timeline and then just duplicating that timeline, and then go back into the duplicated timeline and disable the front video, and then that's where I flip the sound around, or the panning I should say, for the sound. And I can just keep the H2N as the sides. For the overview video, I had to reach it into the fronts and rears respectively for the Cub Run, but that's because the H1N didn't work there at all. But I digress. And then I just switched it for different music and different composites. Each composite has a picture of mom and a picture of a diamond, and the overview and the bridge from Storybook Trail both have mom drifting across the sky. And the Cub Run videos, I had little to no sky to work with on the videos, so even though I knew that I was going to end up calling this Mom's Sky in the Sky with Diamonds, I stuck with that for those videos too. And what I ended up doing was just playing with the keyframes to animate those composites. And so for the Cub Run waterfall, I have her kind of sliding down the waterfall. That was the most complicated keyframing I did, just because it was going segment by segment and a little bit at a time that would drift a little bit, because I wanted it to follow a path that made sense. So it kind of slid down the waterfall, down the rocks to the side, then drifted around and into the puddle. I think it actually worked out pretty beautifully. And then for the downstream, she disappears a lot through the waterfall, and then the downstream, she disappears for like most of the video, most of the full 4 hours, because she follows the blue reflection in the water and just kind of melts into it. And that's the same thing, with the waterfall video. She just kind of melts into the whiteness of the rapids. But it's, I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful, baby. I think it is beautiful. The reason that I couldn't do these at the full 4K resolution is because for a 4-hour video, mind you, at the full 4K resolution, I think the downstream video ended up being, was it 220 gigabytes? And ain't nobody got space for that. Not when I'm talking about a total of 8 videos. Yes, I said 8, and we'll get to that here in a little bit, but I tried limiting. I can actually show you that right now because it's on this page. I tried restricting to 10,000 kilobytes per second at 4K resolution, but it actually looked worse than just best at 1080p. So that's what I did, is I just scaled it back to 1080p, and it looks better that way. And the title, Mom's in the Sky with Diamonds, if you hadn't already made that connection, yes, it is a direct reference to Lucy's in the Sky with Diamonds. It is a direct reference because the Beatles was my mom's absolute favorite band. Eric Clapton was a very close second, but my mom was all about her some Beatles, and she, I think Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds was her favorite. I mean, she loved the Beatles, all of it, but I think I probably heard Lucy's in the Sky with Diamonds more as a kid than any other Beatles song, and Mom was always singing that song. As a matter of fact, the mother cat that she had to get rid of when I was a baby because of my respiratory problems was named Lucy. And when Mom picked up a stray, well, not really a stray, it was a throwaway. Somebody dropped this dog off on the side of the road and just left. So Mom took that dog in, and what'd she name her? She named her Lucy. Once again, So I like to think that Mom is up in the sky with Lucy and them diamonds. I like to think that Mom is up in the sky with Lucy and them diamonds. And I basically duplicated that same process, for both, editing both locations because, it just worked. It was a hell of a lot easier than trying to do each one from scratch when literally there's 2 videos for each one from the same location shot at the exact same time with the exact same equipment. Duplicating timelines is handy. Duplicating timelines is so handy. It is handier than the strong hand. Take my strong hand and duplicate that timeline. And I also got tripped up with the exporting. I guess since it's right here while this is rendering, I can show you part of that now. I tried rendering this as MP4, but apparently you can only use, AAC or whatever as the audio codec for the MP4 container, and it doesn't support 7.1. I don't think it even supports 5.1. So that's, that was kind of a no-go. And I tried a bunch of other of these formats with the Atmos files as well as the QuickTime, and could never get a single file to carry anything more than 7.1. If in the comments or whatever, hit me up because, I think I mostly figured out the Atmos mixing. It was just, trying to render back something at that really gave me the big problems. But I don't know because I can't monitor the actual surround mix while I'm mixing because I don't have an Atmos monitoring system. I have an Atmos soundbar surround system both here in this area right here as well as in my living room. That's where I got my Nakamichi, 9.1.4. And to be fair, it is reflective. It's, it bounces off of the wall and the sides, the walls. And then, and then the rear speakers are, physical behind it. And it's really nice, it's actually really, really nice. But so I basically had to, do the basic thing and basically render a couple minutes of test footage once I set the project up. Once I got the first clips aligned, then immediately what I did is, I was comfortable with it. And I changed the color, but I just rendered a couple minutes of that footage and then played it back through Plex on my Samsung TV here. And, till I got a good result. It took me, I think, 2 or 3 tries to get before I found using QuickTime. And rendering it as 7.1 that way. And I also had to figure out on, again, it'd be so much easier if I could just show you this right now, but, you know, on the Fairlight page, you have to change your track types as well. You have to go up to, up on the top, up here under your Fairlight options. You have to come down to bus format from the Fairlight page and make sure that you set up your surround, whatever it is, 7.1, 9.1.2, or, you know, whatever, or even 2.0, or, you know, maybe 3.594.653 or something. I don't know. But then you also have to go into, I found it easiest to do on the edit page, and select your clip and go to clip attributes and then change the audio channels from there. That's why I had trouble figuring it out, because the last time I tried to mix a surround project was somewhere around, I think, 2000 and well, I'm going to say probably closer to around 2010. Because it was when I bought the Canon T3i and the original, my original H2N, which is actually one of these same two that I'm using right now. I've had that little thing for a while, and it is awesome. It is awesome. I digress, you know, but I was using Sony Vegas at that time to render the video and to edit and render, you know, produce the video and the 5.1 AC3 file. But Vegas made it so easy. You just set it up as your timeline preferences or whatever it was, you know, in the menu back then, the settings. And then they had a little diagram on the audio, each audio track, that you could just select your 5.1 speakers on off. It was really, really intuitive and easy, but at the end of the day, it doesn't leave a lot of room to do much beyond that, especially when you get beyond 5.1. You know, 7.1, you know, I could see still using a diagram like that, but once you start getting into Atmos and adding, you know, height channels and things, you know, it seemed, you know, that kind of mixing could be, you know, pretty limited. And what you can do here in DaVinci, you know, obviously just surpasses anything that Vegas could do. As a matter of fact, I switched from DaVinci to DaVinci from Vegas, was it a couple years ago or something, to the free version of DaVinci. Now I've got the studio version, but there's a lot of stuff in DaVinci that was a lot less intuitive than it was in Sony Vegas. I will give Vegas that. And yes, I was using the, what's it called, the producer edition or whatever from Vegas, you know, their full Vegas Pro package. But once you start figuring out how to do little things in DaVinci, there's just so much more it feels like you can do. Once you figure out keyframing in DaVinci, you know, it's a snap. It's, I mean, I guess it's literally a snap. And that's what you use, that's what I'm using to animate the composites, to make Mom move across the sky, and then the diamonds fade in and then out. They reach their top opacity right in the middle of each video, and then either fade into that or fade out of that. And you know what? I'm just going to wait until this finishes to come back and tell you anything more. You know, you'll just hear more then, because I need to show you this shit. Okay, I am going to have to try to speed run through this because it's already 10 minutes after 8 o'clock at night. I have been taxing this computer extremely hard over this past, I'm going to say, about week and a half. So anyway, like I was saying, I brought in We're starting from the start. This was the first one that I edited, the overlook here. And basically what I did is it wasn't nearly this drawn out when we first, started, obviously. So what I did is I filmed, I don't know, I want to say around, the first location we filmed for about 46 minutes and ended up with maybe around 20 minutes worth of usable footage from it. And then essentially what I did from there is I found a looping point, and then I went in and, copied it and copied it and copied it and copied it. But that wasn't until after, of course, I did my color grading, and the other clip is no longer in the project, so I can't show you the clip that I used to color grade from shot match to clip. But it, as you can see, it worked out good. That was a really good cheating idea on my part. And so, yeah, what haven't I told you? Oh, yeah. So understanding the mixing in 7.1, I told you the first thing you want to do, I had to do, I'll spare you, talking about all the things that I did wrong, trying to figure it out. So what I should have done is first come to Fairlight and choose bus format, and then you got all these different, selections right here, and we wanted 7.1. So that's set. Then we had to change all of these stereo tracks down here from change track type 2 to 7.1. And some of these are actually done in, I believe this one is, this one is in, this one is in 7.1, but I believe that a couple tracks were actually in 5.1. Let's see, was this one? Okay, we'll see from the edit page. But yeah, so that's all of that. And then before I show you the panning, we also had to come in here, and there is a trick when you've got a whole bunch of clips like this that you need to make a change to. For whatever reason, you can just, highlight them all and then come to click attributes. And then this is where you go over to the audio tab and select your placement. Yeah, so see, what we used as our the H1N as our front on this video, or no, I guess this is the Q2N, I guess. Yeah, this is the Q2N, excuse me. So for the overview video, this is our rear channels. So I switched that there. And if I wanted, when I come to make it the front channel to do the bridge part of this location, we simply change these to mute on both of here, and then come and take left and right, because that's our fronts, and choose embedded 1, embedded 2. Easy enough to do. It's just, super tedious going through here and doing every single track. But it can save you a lot of time if you do that from the start, before you start copying tracks and then have to come through and highlight and, make changes to the group that way. So syncing the tracks, I can't show you because I've already cut all of that out of there, but I will pull up in the media pool here. Let's see, where is this shot right here? Okay, so I can show you where we come up with the clapper here, just so I can show you, generally how we sync in post, if again, just if you're not familiar with the process. No. So I had, you can hear me doing this in front of the other camera here, and then coming back around to this camera. Scene 1. And then you'll see me walk back around over here to the Q2N, and look at that fat guy. And no, I was not having a therapy smoke sesh up there, but I did have a smoke therapy sesh when we got to Cub Run. 100, 100. Although it was some kind of mild flour, but it was good. It was gravy, baby. It's all gravy, as they say. Yeah, so let's see. Oh yeah, and then the panning, I did as extra measure because obviously you want to pan your surround channels. So this is pretty easy for your panning. Here you can see I took our fronts. Oh, that's the muted one because that's the audio from the Axe 53. And, we just wanted the video. And the only reason I brought the audio into the project at all, into the timeline, is just for the aid of syncing all of those audio tracks together. So this is our front. This is the Q2N. Or no. Okay, no. Okay, I see. It's just out of frame right there. So, okay, now I was confusing myself. So you can see where the Q2N was panned to the center and the rear because you want that XY to just fill out, those sides in the rear. And then since we are using the spatial mode on the H2N, that is occupying tracks 3, 4, and 5. So what I did was I panned out the sides right here, and I'll just play a little bit so you can see the meters going through. It's not going through showing much right here, but you get the picture. It's that's a kind of low part right there, but you get the idea. And then since the first one, the overview, is our the H1N was acting as our front microphones. We got that pan to the front right there. And when you mix in something that's Atmos, like something with height, you get new tools, and you get other tools and stuff here too to raise your heights essentially. And it works. It looked anyway like it worked well. I just couldn't figure out how to render it once I got it mixed that way. And like I said, I'm going to try to speed run through this. So now I'm going to show you basically what I did once I got... I'm sorry, I forgot to show you the composites because we have obviously these two composites for each track. So what I did here is first I color graded my mom right here, and then I chroma keyed out some of the background and stuff, what I could, and then I used the opacity tool to kind of fade her back and let her kind of like fade as she drifts across the sky, and I think that turned out beautiful. And when you get to about halfway through this video, let me just bring in here, that's it starts becoming apparent, the diamond starts becoming apparent, I'm gonna say somewhere around here, but then once we really get to the middle here, that's where mom's diamond really comes into play right there. That's where it's at. It's not at 100. I'll show you what it's at here in a second, but that's its peak opacity for the purposes of this video. So what I did was I keyframed the opacity all the way to 0 at the very beginning and at the very end, and then here in the center I just brought it up to to 23.78. And so because I keyframed the movements so far apart on a 4-hour long video, 4 hours and 6 minutes, you really can't see it moving just naked eye watching, because it's just very, very gradual. And it really, I think it turned out beautifully. And so then once I got all of that finally finished, then I just came up here and I left or right clicked, on the timeline and just selected duplicate timeline. And then that brought me up this timeline here, which I then used to make, to re-enable this video so that we'd be going from the back. And then I went back into the clip attributes and I switched the front speakers to the rear speakers to the front. And I came, that is the color tool. I came back to the panning, and now you can see I moved audio 2 to the front and audio 6 to the rear. And of course I use different music and different diamond for different composite pictures and different music throughout all 4 videos, except I only used 2 diamonds total, so I switched between these two for these 2 videos and then switched between these same 2 diamonds for the other 2 videos. So let's pull those up and show you those ones. Okay, so I actually did the rear camera from the Q2N first this time around. I don't know why, I was just a little more anxious to get to that. And I didn't show you the crookedness. That's all right, I gotta go back to that at the other project here in a minute anyway. So let me show you the raw footage of here. See, I'm not even gonna scroll through that at all, just because it's going to be so loud. So that was what the original camera image looked like. So now you can see exactly why I had to crop in and rotate, because that is unacceptable right there. That is unacceptable. And the downstream video I don't think was any better. It was a little bit better, but as you can see, still not great. Not great at all. And yeah, basically I didn't really even, I guess, need to bring this one up, just because I did basically the exact same process on both locations in all 4 videos. So I once again duplicated the timeline and came to the waterfall. And the diamond, if you haven't watched far enough to see it, or just haven't watched them at all yet, the diamond is barely visible at all in the downstream video and in the it's fairly visible. It's pretty visible in the bridge video, but the downstream video, it's hidden behind trees and stuff. As a matter of fact, I'll go back and I'll show you. But it's a little bit more, it's much more subtle, I guess. So here it is at its peak opacity. And just to bring it up here real quick, see if you can even spot it right there. It is hiding right in there. It's hiding right in there. And so just to show you, let's turn off the opacity, or turn off the composite tool altogether so you can see. Yeah, that's it right there. Again, see? You really can't even see it. It's at, I put the opacity at like 14.4 because that was the only way I could really was satisfied with the way that it looked at all. It was a lot more tricky to get creative with when there wasn't sky to work with, and that was the only little bit of sky that I had, so I had to use that for the diamond. I couldn't get Mom to really float around up there, so what I did was I started her way down here, and then I keyframed her to go like this way a little bit, and then she follows for the rest of the video that path right there until it gets down into there. And then she just kind of, at the very end, she just kind of fades out and flows down through the rocks. And on the waterfall, her path is a little bit more complicated because she starts like right up here, and then she sort of just falls down, disappearing into the rapids, and ends up somewhere down here, and then follows up here underneath of the stick, and then kind of like drifts up into here before finally getting sucked down into this little puddle right here at the end. And then, you know, kind of fades out right there at the very end. And then, you know, since technically this part kind of comes before the downstream, you know, then the downstream comes back, and she is right down here. See, I'll be really nice, and I'll bring it back all the way down there so you can see her down there. See? But yeah, so there she is right there hiding behind this little thing, but you can kind of see the side of her head over here. But she disappears into the blue right there. That is way louder than the microphone. But yeah, you know, like I said, I mean, she's really barely visible for like 90% of this video, the full 4 hours, but that's just because she keeps, you know, like melting into the blue here as she drifts downstream. And you know, it's beautiful, really. It's beautiful. And I really wanted this explanation, making of, whatever you want to call it, type video to be a lot more in depth than it really is. But, you know, I'm on crunch time, baby. I am on crunch time, and I wanted to include this as part of it, even if this video has to come out after the rest of the stuff on the 28th. Yeah, you know, I am really excited about this project. I was excited about it before we actually shot it. I was excited about it when we shot it. And then I just kind of got discouraged. But now that I've been working on it all this time, I've been super excited about it, and I'm really, really proud of how it turned out. You know, this is my first time at anything this big, like this. It's not the first time I've shot a nature video or even mixed it in at 5.1, you know, 10 whatever years ago. But yeah, the first time I've ever done it on this scale. And yeah, I like it. I like it a lot, and I've learned a lot from the experience, both in the filming aspect of it as well as the production aspect of it. And I'm anxious to do this again. I am very much anxious to do this again. And so now, before I start this render, I'll show you the diamond on this one. See, that's a little bit more visible on this one. In the overview or the overlook video, it's super obvious once it comes into frame. And on the waterfall video, it's pretty obvious, but it's off to the side. So, you know, find it. You know, find that white diamond, baby. Find that white diamond. It's up in the sky with Mom. So yeah, I guess the only thing now is to go back over here and get ready to render, because this is our, I need to change this down to 1080p. Yeah, I think this is our last 4 hour big render. Or, well, I mean, the video is about 4 hours. The render is going to be about 8 to 10. But yeah, you know, this is the last one before I release these and then go back and re-render these videos yet again, but without the music. So that's going to be coming too. Let me just find the right file, because I had done this already before, but, you know, we're redoing it now. Okay, yeah, I forgot. I still got to rename this to Storybook Trail Bridge. Okay. All right, and I think we got everything set. Let's add render to queue, baby, and yeah, here we go, baby. Here we go. So thanks for coming and hanging out, checking out how I did these videos, and thank you for checking out the videos if you've checked them out. And again, just to reiterate, if you haven't checked them out, please do so. You know, I'm really, really proud of them. And also, don't forget too, if you're a home theater guy, you got a surround system at home, I highly recommend downloading these off of Dropbox and playing them through your home theater system. Because, yeah, I mean, they're built from the ground up around the idea of surround sound. This is relaxation videos for the home theater guy, you know, gal, whoever. You know, I love you, baby. I appreciate you. And, yeah, like I said, too, I'm also gonna, after we get all of this stuff out there, because I'm on such a crunch time already, then I'm gonna come back and re-render these videos without the music. So I don't know if I'm gonna post those on YouTube or not. I probably will go ahead and do them. And then, you know, they'll be up on the Dropbox account too, which is really where you should be getting them from if you got a home theater. Because, yeah, YouTube's not gonna play that surround sound. It's not gonna give you that 7.1 mix that I worked so diligently on. For best experience and whatever, you know, but it's still great through a pair of stereo speakers. It's still, I still think it sounds good. So until the next one, baby, I appreciate you all. Thanks for coming and hanging out, and cheers. This cart is almost dead. This is my live rising cart. So let's try that again. I'm not going to leave you without a quick smoke sesh. Now let's try this one more time. Oh, much better. Now we're all much better now, baby. Just as Mr. P's pee is yellow again, you know? All that much better, baby. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. What I can and can't perceive, that's up to me's. That's how it be's. I don't even know where my little P's is at. He's around here napping off somewhere. He ain't been feeling so good these past few days. For real. But he's eating his whole meals and eating all of his treats and even starting to pee out mostly yellow again. So, you know, good signs. Good signs, little dudes. Good signs. Cut that. Cut. Or as we used to say back in the days of and stuff, cut and stuff. From stuff to gravy, baby. From stuff to gravy. Baby. I'm fucking dumb. I don't know who needs to hear this right now, but, you know, I love my little dabbing station here. I love it. It's beautiful. Beautiful. It is absolutely stunning. Stunning. Stunning is my dab. Stunning is my dabbing station. With old Elvira and Christy teaming up to heat it up. What'n? That's how they say it in these parts. Excuse me. That's how they say it in these parts, Bow. Sweatins. That was a Freudian entendre. Ha! Yo, I don't know who needs to hear this right now, but we got a little guy. Let me bring up a little guy. Hi. little guy. How is that? Are you peeing more yellow, little dude? Are you peeing more yellow? No more red? Oh, I hear you. Yeah, I have earballs. I can hear. Yeah, I see you too. You're not John Cena. I can see you. Yeah. I'm choking on Dabjic. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Ha. 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 We'll get you a new one as soon as I'm sure that you're better. Because I ain't going to go out and buy you a new bed just for you to pee on it. That is not why I named you P. That is not why I named you P. That is not your manifest destiny. Yeah. Yeah. Little dude. Yeah. Yeah. He likes it when I say, yeah. 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 Is he a good little dude? Is he a good little dude? Yeah. Yeah. Little P, that's my dude. Where the daddy be? P's gotta be my buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy. My buddy, Mr. P. Let's pay. Yeah. I got a bottle of lotion up in the shot. It puts the lotion on the floor. It puts the lotion on the floor. So basically, I always say so basically because I'm that basic. That's why I always say so basically because I'm basic. Not really, but give it to me, I'm worthless. And, yeah. And yeah. Take 46. Take 46. Or whatever you want to call it.